Good evening. I'm going to do a special program about the essence of this week's Parsha. It's called The Secret of the Parsha. It's certain aspects from the Zohar. And what it says on it, that it starts with that Vayehav Yitzchak et Esav ki tzayid b'siv. That Yitzchak loved Esav because he had the ability to hunt in his mouth. That's the literal statement of that particular sentence. It says in the secret part that it was because he had nitzotzot, like little sparks, of the souls of Malchut Beit David, the kingdom of Beit David, that were in the mouth of Esav. And it says that in the Arizal that he had a part of this sparks of Kedusha, of holiness, from the part of a Gevura of Yitzchak, our father Yitzchak, that was in his mouth, sort of, like not in a literal way, but the essence was in his mouth. And it says that these particular sparks of Beit David, the kingship of David, were like a mouth. And this is why they were in the mouth of Esav, as it says in the book of Igra Dekala. Peretz v'zerach gilgule ve'onan kanoda. Peretz and Zerach were the two kids that from them King David is descended, and they are the Gilgul, the reincarnation of Er and Onan. They're mentioned before. They were the husbands of Tamar before she married Yehuda. So it says that Er and Onan were born from Judah, and Bat-shua was the daughter of Esau. So it says that the souls of the kingship of Beit David are from the root of Admoni de Kedusha. That's really Esau. It's from the Klippa until they were sort of like filtered down and born in the Yibum that was created from Yehuda and Tamar. As it says in the Alshech, Torah Moshe, Bereshis, Genesis 38:1. Vayar sham Yehuda bat ish Knaani ushmo Shua veikachea vayavo elea. So that's when Judah comes on Tamar. It says that Judah, she betrayed Judah, and to'eva na'asta was not like proper, and hu ba'al bat el necha, bat shua shelakach. So he had relations with a daughter of Shua that he took. So there is a bit of a question here about this. I'll continue to the next page. If I can get this done right. So I'm just trying to. All right. The next page is taking a little bit of time to load up. So I'm going to go here. And then it says, it doesn't say her name. And this is why they says that his sons were not decent to come out from them, the kingship of King David, until he came back and was blessed, and they came back again from the stomach or via Tamar, via Yibum, which is a holy vessel. And they needed to go through this process in order to be cleansed. So the Arizal says that Esau had the tzayid, the ability to hunt in his mouth, the sparks of Kedusha. It's part of the Gvura, the ability to be, we have Chesed and Gvura of Yitzchak, his father. We see in the Zohar in Vayishlach, Kuf Samachet, which is 168, that the root of Yitzchak, of David, King David, comes from Yitzchak. And the souls of the kingship of Beit David, their root is from Yitzchak. They were this side of the hunting of Esau in his mouth. So this is what it says in Rosh Chodesh, in the Arizal, Rosh Chodesh, Pei Gimel, Taf Samech. In Esau, there was the soul of Rabbi Akiva that came from him. And this is what's hinted in the words Kitzayid B'fiv, that he has the hunting in his mouth. That the soul of Rabbi Akiva, the root of the Torah that is non-verbal, Be'al Peh, is the root of the Torah of the kingship. It was in the mouth, in Be'al Peh. It was in the mouth of Esau until his soul was going through reincarnation from Yael that took him out from Sisra. And it says that Yitzchak loved Vayehav Yitzchak, in Gematria is 232, which means Kitzayid B'fiv, Gematria 232. It's also the Gematria of Yehi Or, there will be light, that in the future, the light that would come is hiding now at Esau until it would be purified and come out as the light as it was before it was minimized later after the flood. So the words that were left, et Esav, has the letters that are including in the Gematria Tashpag, which is this year. Be'ezrat Hashem will be meriting to have the light of the Geula, which is the light that Yitzchak saw hinted in inside Esav. It's a big light. It says in the book of Midrash Talpiot for the Shevet Musar, Vayar Sham Yehuda bat ish Kna'ani u'shmo Shua, vayikachea vayavo eleha. The Yehuda saw the daughter of a Canaanite. His name is Shua, and he took her and he came upon him. And the Perush, the translation of Rabbi Shmuel Kolonimus, which is one of the Rishonim, Shua is actually Esau. So if you look at the letters of Shua, same letters as Esau. בשביל שהיה רשע הפך האותיות וקראו ישוע. So they basically transformed the letters because he was a wicked person. They transformed the letters and called him Shua. It says the Shevet Musar, אם קבלה נקבל שיהודה לקח ביתו של עשיו, אף שהדבר קשה מאוד, איך לקח בת של מי שהיה מחזיק עצמו עבודה זרה? If it is actually that we're going to accept that Judah took the daughter of Esau, it is a very difficult thing. How could he take a daughter of someone who actually follows Avodah Zarah, like follows something that is improper. Thus we see that Esav was the father-in-law, Judah. It says in Igra Dekala, Vayarsham Yehuda bat ish Knani ushma Shua, that Yehuda saw a daughter of a Canaanite. Her name was Shua. What was the need to say that the name of the person was he was a Canaanite? That all the essence of Judah was to bring about the King Mashiach, the opposite of Esau. So he saw a daughter of a person called Shua, the same letters as Esau, and thought that it's like having a Gerim, somebody who is being converted. Like this, upon this, created Hashem, i.e., that's two things, they're opposites. Even though that this did not happen and King Mashiach was born from Tamar directly, all this is in secret of the reincarnation, because Peretz and Zerach are the Gilgul of Er and Onan, as we know. And this was roamed around down until they came to a person called Chira, from the language of Cherut, of freedom, which was Ikar for the Cherut, the freedom forever and ever, by King Mashiach. And by that, it says, Ish adolami mi'ir adulam, teva morkevet adolam, which means that be somebody born who is, a redeemer, that by which there'll be the freedom forever and ever. And so this is why Judah felt like he could take her, because from her comes the Choter Migeza Yishai, which is the source of Mashiach. Adulami says 3 times, Adulami, Adulami, Adulami. When you do the gematria, you find that it's the same gematria of Shlomo HaMelech and Shmo Chira. Bechiram was from the same family, and all the family is from the tribe of Judah. And this is why Hiram was loving King Solomon. Okay. It says here, Barama Mipano, about the reincarnation, that Bathsheba, the wife of King David, was a Gilgul reincarnation of Bathshua, a daughter of Shua. And we see that the daughter of Shua was the daughter of Esau, that got to be, purified to come in a second Gilgul, and to be Bathsheba, the wife of King David, and give birth to King Solomon. So we brought from the Tosfot that Hiram, king of Tzor, was loving King David and was from the family of Hiram, who was the friend, the buddy of Judah. And Shiloh, the son of Yehuda, is hinted in the word Shalomo. If you look, there's only one letter extra, which is the Mem, the son of King David. We also see the connection between Onan and Tamar to Amnon v'Tamar. Again, one letter extra, Mem. It's the same letters. The same like Onan came on Tamar in a wrong way. That the same way Amnon raped Tamar, and then ben Yehuda is hinted in the act of Amnon v'Tamar, as it says, in Amnon, Rea ushmo Yonadav ben Shim'a, achi David v'Yonadav ish chacham ma'od. So Amnon had a friend, his name was Yonadav ben Shim'a, who was the brother of David and Yonadav, a very wise person. And he says to him, why are you so not inspiring in the morning. You're a king's son. Why won't you talk, And he says to him, Amnon Amnon says to him that he wants Tamar, the sister of Absalom, and that's who he loves. So we see the same like in Yehuda, where the act starts with El and goes to Onan. The same thing with Yonadav, that it was Rhea that he gave the advice to Amnon to seduce Tamar. It says in the book of Nikud, Rabbi Giktilia, it's called the Sefer of Nikud, Ashar kalahem ve'akabtzam ki peditim, that when the Shuruk is in the Malchus, this is the time where all Israelites will come from exiles. And all this is when it's up during the destruction. The Shuruk came out of the Chirik, and the house, our temple, was destroyed, and all Israel was exiled. And we see the Shrika is connected with Geula and the source and the root of kingship of King David. And it's in the Perush of the Torah, on the Torah, Bereshit, Genesis 27:3, that Asaph was shorek, that was whistling to the animals and then hunts them. And that's why it says that kitzayid b'fiv, they had the ability to hunt in his mouth. It says further into what we said before, that Asaph had sparks of kedusha, of holiness, from the root of shrika in his mouth, whistling in his mouth. He would whistle to the animals and hunt them. It also says in Or HaChaim, Genesis 49:1, that against the future Geula, that God willing, there'll be very soon in our days, it says Velo Shorka. It says that at that time Hashem will whistle to them and gather them. So it says that also in the translation of Yabetz on the Gemara in Brachot 57, that the person who sees shoreka, or somebody whistles in his dream, will expect Mashiach, which is in what says, Osri lagefen iro veleshorka bni atono. That means that I would be with, it just says I will whistle to them and there will be gathering. So it says in Parashat Chayesara, you have the letter Ches 127 times. And it says that in the Midrash, Yalkut, Genesis 102, the Rabbi Akiva was sitting and lecturing, and the public was sort of like sleepish. And so he asked to get them up, and he asked them, what did Esther merited to be queen over 127 states? Because Esther is the daughter, like the granddaughter of Sarah, or Sarah Imenu, which lived 127 years. And because of that, she merited to be a queen over 127 states. We heard from Harag David Weizmann Shalita in Parashat Chayesara. We have the letter Ches, the eighth letter in each parsha 127 times. It's the letter that opens the name of the parsha, Chayesara, and the number 127 is the number that opens the parsha. So we need to understand what it means. In the book Emunat Itecha, every part of Eretz Israel is connected to a special part in the Torah. And Hebron is against the mitzvah of the Bris Milah. This is why Hashem was discovered or like shown to Avram, and he was, told that he needs to do Brit Milah in Alonei Mamre in Hebron. So the Chatam Sofer writes that the Mamre gave Avraham a little advice on the word before Hashem commanded it. That the mitzvah of Milah was his part in the Torah of Mamre. They used to live in Hebron. And this is why Avraham bought Me'arat HaMachpelah, the Machpelah cave, and that was connected directly to the mitzvah of Milah from Bnei Chet. And again, Chet is hinting to the letter Ches, which symbolizes Shmini, which is the 8th day of the Milah, of the circumcision. And also Ches is in Gematria Shmini, and Bnei Ches are hinted or mentioned in the Parsha 8 times. Also, this is a place where the mitzvah of Milah was given to Avram during the time of Achnasat Orchim. The Oreach, Otiyot or Chet, Oreach, and that's also connected to Shmini of circumcision, Milah. And because the Parsha starts with the burial of Sarah, Imenu, in Me'arat HaMachpelah, the exact place that Avram Avinu bought, because it was in the secret of the letter Ches. And also this particular letter, Ches, shown 127 times in this Parsha to hint us that because of 127 years of Sarah Imenu, that were without sin, as it's hinted in the letter Ches, we merited to the Me'arat HaMachpelah that is in the secret of letter Ches, and in the letter Ches is connected with the letter Nun, 50, which is like Ches, comes after 7. The Nun comes after 7 times 7, and we heard from Rabbi Uri Youngreis Shalita. The Hebron, it's the letters of Chibur Nun, connection of Nun, de Bechevron. There is a connection to Shmini, and also Ephron is the letters of Afar Nun. Afar Nun. Di Bechevron be'afar shel Ephron, there is a connection to Nun, to Shmini. And in Me'arat HaMachpelah b'Chevron, we have buried 8 people. And it was bought by 400 shekel of Kislev. There were 8 parts of field that was measured by 50 shekel, as it says. והיה ערכך לפי זרעו, זרע חומר שאורים ב50 שקל כסף. Says this in Vayikra 27 Tetzayin, which is 50. Anyhow, vayeh ערכך by his זרעו, זרע חומר שאורים 50 שקל. So in 50 shekel of kesef, Hashem changed the name of Sarah Imenu from Sarai, which is the letters of Shir, to Sarah, because it hints that she sings a new song. Now after the birth of Yitzchak, which is the secret of laughter, tzchok, and shira, to be in the future. And this particular song is the secret of the letter Chet, and 8, as it in Gemara Arachim 13. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Kinor shel mikdash shel shiv'at nimin haya, שנאמר, 7 שמחות, אל תקרא שובע, אלא 7, של ימות המשיח 8, שנאמר למנצח על השמינית, על נימה השמינית, וכן מצינו בזוהר, שמיני בהודעה, וזהו ודאי, ובו שיבח משה. אז זהו שכתוב, אז ישיר משה, והוא 8 ימי המילה. So basically, Rabbi Yehuda says that the violin of the Holy Temple of 7 parts, Sova Smachot is the happiness one. Don't look at Sova, but it's 7. And in Yemot HaMashiach, in the days of Mashiach, it'll be Shmone. It'll be 8. As it says, Lamnatzeach al Shminit. So there's going to be another string. And the string of the 8th is what Moses says, that then he will sing the 8 days of Milah, the 8 days of circumcision. So the Zohar connects between the 8th Sphira with Milah, circumcision, with singing, and the division of the Sea of Reeds. And the secret of Me'arat HaMachpelah is the secret of circumcision and 8, as we explained. So that part is in Tosfot that explains in Arachim 15, that's there in Daled Hay, which is number 9, that Bnei Israel, when they passed in the Sea of Reeds, it was in a shape of ches. So they went back to the same side of the, Yabasha, like the same side that they started with. It says that the Kriat Yam Suf comes in a shape of a ches, in a shape of the letter chet. Also, it says, so they started in one spot, went to the other side, and came back, sort of. It says in the book of Torah Shlema, in the name of Rabbi Saadia Gaon, that the, passing through the Sea of Reeds took 8 hours. So again, we have 8 ches, We find in the Zohar that speaks between the difference of Orach, is the place that they used, and Orach, a new path that was never used before. Same like Oreach, which is Or Ches, which is the light of Ches, something new that came to the world. And this is why we could explain why after Avram Avinu did the circumcision, he was desiring Orchim. Yes, because Orchim symbolizes a new light, Or Chadash, Orchim. And Avram Avinu, after the circumcision, got to Derech Chadasha, a new way in his Avodat Hashem that was lit by the light of the circumcision, the light of Hamila, that is also Or Chet, light of Ches. That Molim, the people that are being circumcised, it's happening on the 8th day. This is why the Torah says that after the Orchim came, the special guest came from Hashem in Bereshit 18:11. Chadal liot lesara orach kenashim. To hint, it says that Sarah stopped having her menstruation, so she stopped having her period. It sort of like hints us that Sarah, also having the hay added to her, is now being blessed or merited to an Orach Chadash, like a new order. After she stopped having the orach regil, the regular orach, the regular way. Thus, because of the bris milah, because of the circumcision, Avram and Sarah got into a derech chadasha, a new way, that's called orach. It says in Shirat Hayam, is written Ariach al Gabe Levina. Same letters to hint us that the light, the special light that we're talking about, the Mashiach light, end of times light, is in the sea of reeds, the light of the Oreach that comes into the house to a kingship that is symbolizes by the moon, Levana. And this is why the Ot Chet is in Parashat Chayesara 127 times to hint us that she merited the shlemut, the wholeness of the light of the letter Ches, after the circumcision of Abraham and the birth of Yitzchak, that merited to a new way that is called Orach. It's the same that Bnei Israel got into Eretz Israel in the secret of Yichud. They got in where? Through Derech Yericho. Same letters that hints Oreach, guest. In Yom Shua, send Meraglim, spies, there were Orchim, there were guests at Rachav. Again, same root, Chavazona. So it's the same root of Reish Chet. Rachav, Orchim, Oreach. Alone Mamre in Gematria is Ukraine, and Mamre in Gematria is Russia, is Russia. So we have Alon Mamre in Gematria is Ukraine, and Mamre in Gematria is Russia. We find in the Zohar, in Chet Aleph, which is in Tzadik Tet, Vayar Elav Hashem in Alonei Mamre. What is Mamre? It says that because he inherited 200 worlds, me'eden, vehu kiseh. Amar, Rabbi Yitzchak Mamre b'Gimatria 281. Says Rabbi Yitzchak, Mamre in Gematria is 281. 200 of Eden, which is written 200 Notrim et Piria, and 81, which is Kiseh. This is why it was called Vayar Elav Hashem in Mamre, and by that name it was called Mamre. So we see the Mamre is connected with the what we will merit in the future. It says 200 Lanotrim et Purio, which is Mamre in Gematria 200 and a chair, because this place is connected to this world with Hakiste, chair. And with 200 years, we finished 6,000, as the Ramban says in the Pasuk, Matayim Lanotrim et Pirio, which in it we have the end of times hint, and the last Sachar, which is payment, which will be in the last 200 years of the 6,000, and the Geula will come. As we say in the Zohar, in Vayar Tzach, Vayar Elav Hashem in Alonei Mamre, in Vehu Yoshev Petach Ha'ol Kechol Mayim. So he was sitting, Hashem came to him in Alonei Mamre, and he's sitting at the opening of his tent at the heat of the day. So taking the Chama Minartika, which is taking the sun out of his container or whatever, it's what contains it, in the case of Abraham, was in a sort of a glimpse to the future where Hakadosh Baruch Hu will take Chama Minartika, will take the sun out of its little container, and as it was in Alonei Mamre, and will give the payment to the tzaddikim in the future. It says that Avram discovered the Petach Gan Eden, the opening of the Garden of Eden. At that time, as the Zohar says, the Mamre is connected with the influence of Gan Eden and Olam Hakiseh. And the reason why Hashem took out the sun out of its container, from it, there's a Gan Eden to the tzaddikim of the future. And so it says that Harag Shalita, that the Chama in Gematria is garden. As it says in the book Megalei Amukot, the discoverer of the depth, that Avram was busy in Alonei Mamre after circumcision in the issues of the last redemption. Nitasek Avraham begeula achona, that shera'a dinat kifa, and he saw three people that are three goalim. They are hinted in the words Shlosha Anashim Nitzavim Shraya Eliyahu Nachamya. We see in the Zohar, the Mamre is connected to the Kiseh HaKavod, is the Hashem's chair, and Mamre in Rashi Tevot, in short, is hinted twice in the Ezekiel's prophecy about the kingship seat, Ezekiel 1:21. ומעל הרקיע אשר ראשם כמראה אבן ספיר דמות כיסא, על דמות הכיסא דמות כמראה אדם, עליו מלמעלה וירא כאין חשמל, כמראה אש בית לעשבים, מראה מתניו ולמעלה, מראה מתניו למטה ראיתי כמראה אש ונוגה לעשבים. Every single word here has a root of mamre or kiseh. So we have kiseh, mud kiseh, sviv mamamre, mimare, and the explanation is that Mamre gave an advice to Avram about the circumcision. He fixed the kiseh hakavod, that is the base, the higher base that was fixed by the bris that Israel do in this world, as it says in the New Zohar, that kiseh hakavod po'el derech hayesod, that samech vav is in the word yesod, hints to 66 wheels that are surrounding the kiseh hakavod and surrounding the chair, heritage chair of Hashem. And it says in the book of Etz Hadat Tov, the Mamre in Gematria is Ya'am, it's forest. And Alonei, hem Atzeh HaYa'am. They're the woods of the trees in the forest. And those are the Malachim, the angels are carrying the kiseh, the chair, and they are the Toldot. They're like the aftertold, but similar in the imagination of the trees that are in the forest. And that's the secret. Az Yiramnu Aseh Hayam. So the trees in the forest are singing to Hashem, who is like riding upon them. And Kiseh in Gematria is Yesod. And it says in the writings of the Gamam Mishiklov that Alonei Mamre beGematria is Chashmal. Alonei Mamre in Gematria says Chashmal. We can say it's electricity, but it's like Shmal is mentioned as part of the special creatures who live in one of the worlds above us, like not this world, but it says in Moshav Skenim that Vayar Elav Hashem Ba'alonei Mamre Mekashe. It says that he was seen to him in Alonei Mamre, because Avram was supposed to take an advice to, fulfill the Hashem's mitzvah, something that he didn't do in all his trials, as to his etzah, was not to do a mitzvah. He wasn't really clear about which part of his body he's supposed to do a milah, supposed to do circumcision. And Rabbi Natan Bar Yosef said, well, for sure he knew which part he's going to do a circumcision. He wasn't sure which side of the skin near the sinews he was supposed to take, from head or side. And Mamre told him that he should cut all the orla in the head and until just a sinew as like a tree that they cut. And by the name of the tree, he was telling him that he was hinting to Alonei Mamre. So from Mamre bit, we understand that he taught Abraham how to fulfill the circumcision mitzvah from the pre-etz alon, the fruit of the alon, that his shape is like the sinew of the orla on the atara, which is like in the circumcision part. And as it says in Chatam Sofer, that was the advice that Mamre gave Abraham about how to do the circumcision before Hashem gave him that mitzvah. So by that, we know why they merited to get the ha'ara, the light of the Garden of Eden. So by the circumcision, they merit the Garden of Eden. As it says in the book of Etz Adatu, Nachremos, Bazot yavo Aaron el HaKodesh. Means with that, Aaron will come into holiness, thanks to the circumcision that is called Zot Briti Asher Tishmeru. This is my unity, or my covenant that you have to keep. And by the merit of circumcision, Yavo HaNefesh El Kodesh HaGan Eden. The soul will get to the holiness of Garden of Eden, and the non-circumcised will go to Gehenna, because it says that Arel, person who's not circumcised, is in Gematria Esh Gehenom. It's fire, Gehenom. It says in Gemara Eruvin 19 that Avraham Avinu was sitting in the opening of Gehenna, and he would save the people that were circumcised that didn't, cause, blemish in the circumcision. As it says in Chatam Sofer, Shmos 12:15, Ita b'midrash shofia lahem reach Pesach megan Eden lo achlu lechol elo she'amalu atzmam v'ayta nafsham keha uba'u leMoshe v'amar lahem malu atzmam. So it says in the midrash that they had the smell of the Passover from the Garden of Eden, and they couldn't eat those that didn't circumcise themselves. And they were like tormented. Came to Moses, and he told them, please circumcise yourself. We see that Hashem put the smell of the Garden of Eden in the Korban Pesach that caused those that didn't circumcise themselves to do a bris milah from the desire to eat the Korban Pesach. And by having the circumcision, they merited to the Garden of Eden. It says also in the book of Emunat Itecha that every part of Eretz Yisrael is directly against a part in the Torah. And Hebron is against the part, the mitzvah of bris milah. And this is why Hashem was seen to Avraham Avinu, who advised him about the milah, circumcision, Alonei Mamre in Hebron. And Avram, that's why he bought Me'arat HaMachpelah, and is connected to the mitzvah of circumcision from Bnei Chet. The Chet, hinting to 8th day of circumcision. Chet is also a gematria of Shmini. Bnei Chet is mentioned 8 times in the Parsha, and that's why Hebron, there's an opening of the Garden of Eden, because Hebron is the secret of the Bris Milah, which is the opening of Garden of Eden. We'll continue later about the rest.